Hello, fans and friends. We have a very special fantasy breaking news here on the Fantasy Factory from DSN. We have major breaking news. Right here, we're going to show you it. We're just going to get right into it. Ian Rapoport is reporting very important stuff that Kenneth Walker III may actually wind up being the starter here in just a little bit of time. According to Rapoport, Chris Carson, a lot of you guys know him. He is very infamous for being an oft-injured player. Well, the injuries seem to have caught up to him, and we have the report from Rapoport that Chris Carson is retiring, officially retiring, which means that Kenneth Walker III is now the starter in Seattle. Why does that matter? Great question. Part of it is that you don't have to worry about Chris Carson anymore. All of you guys who I know got suckered in with Chris Carson in the mid-rounds. Maybe you reach a little bit like, oh, he's not going to get hurt this year, then he dies, and then Rashad Penny takes over, or whoever else. Well, now that problem is gone. You no longer have the temptation of Chris Carson. That is a fantastic portion of the news. But as we go and transition from the tweet here over to Fantasy Pros, as you can see on the Fantasy Pros list, we have, as we scroll down a bit, if we go to their rankings, which as it appears seems to be updated as the consensus of 115 experts, as they say, they have Kenneth Walker III currently sitting at a measly 34th behind Melvin Gordon III, a backup, Tony Pollard, backup, Kareem Hunt, backup, Rashad Penny, maybe backup. All these guys are above them. I think Kenneth Walker III is a fantastic value pick. Rashad Penny has had these opportunities in the past. And what has he done with them? Nothing at all. He has been, at best, a top 40, top 35 at most. And the touches that he's had has been just so measly. I mean, if we go in here and we actually look at his projected numbers, they have him at a 92%. He is the 25th overall ranked back. But what's surprising, especially with Kenneth Walker being there, you had Penny, who in 2018 had 14 games, 19 had 10 games, 20 had 3 games, 21 had 10 games. He has a per yard carry average of a variance of a lot. 4.9, 5.7, 3.1, 6.3. You have not a ton of touchdowns either, and this is not going to be an offense that is going to score all that often. Do I think that Rashad Penny is somehow out of the blue going to become this workhorse for the team? No, I do not. Who I think is going to be Kenneth Walker III, which we have the strength of schedule. I apologize. The ranking for Rashad Penny was not 25. Fantasy Pros has their RB rank for their schedule as 25th, which is one of the more difficult schedules out there, which makes sense. They're playing in the NFC West. But you have 87% on Yahoo that have rostered Kenneth Walker III. His projections for what he's looking at for the season is 157 carries, 701 rushing yards, looking at potentially as many as, 4.5, so about 5 touchdowns. I expect those numbers to pump up. The longer that the season goes on, Penny is going to wind up showing that he needs to cede more and more carries to Kenneth Walker. This is not a pick that you are making for the beginning of the season. Walker's value is not at the beginning. It is going to be towards the mid and later portions into the playoffs. He is going to be a guy that you're going to really like to have in your back pocket, where he's going to explode as the season wears on, as the carries get on Rashad Penny. You're going to see this rookie blitz out of nowhere and have a really fantastic back half of the season. I would fully expect that by year's end, Kenneth Walker III is the by far consensus number one in Seattle. Hopefully Pete Carroll, without the bailout of Russell Wilson, is going to be able to have more of a mindset to run the ball. Chris Carson being no longer there, reliable, at least reliable to get injuries. Kenneth Walker III is already proven with a boatload of carries over a college season that he can handle that. I would pick up Kenneth Walker III if I were making my own suggestions. I don't think that $30 to $34 is out of the realm of possibility for him, depending obviously on how deep your league goes. I'm in a 12-man league myself, and so I would definitely see that much money. $30 definitely for a backup. Is he an RB1? Is he an RB2? Probably not, but he is going to be a fantastic flex option for you moving forward. If you are running snake draft, I would say that he is definitely a safe mid-round selection, and that's going to be much more based around how big your roster size is. I would slot him in, though, in that RB 2.5, 3 flex type of option. There are going to be a lot of people who are going to be eyeing him, especially because it's probably going to be a local draft. If you're following DSN, you definitely know that that's definitely something that's potential. All Michigan State fans in your league are going to want to go after Kenneth Walker III. But I can tell you that it is definitely a value. I wouldn't be chasing far past that. Like, I wouldn't take, for example, I wouldn't take Kenneth Walker III probably in the first single-digit rounds. And I would not pay more than $34 if I'm going through an auction portion of the draft. So keep those things in mind as we move along throughout the season. And in regards to Rashad Penny, he is somebody that I would buy extremely low. At the beginning of the season, he's going to have enough of an offensive output that you may select him as a flex spot, potentially, depending on how shallow your roster is. But I wouldn't be surprised if Rashad Penny actually winds up being in your free agent pool. Waivers is something to definitely look forward to for him. Maybe Kenneth Walker III is the same. You could wind up having a league where you don't double up. Now, obviously, in our last video, 2 videos ago, where I was talking about draft strategy, you obviously want to spell yourself. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to have both guys for that reason. However, I see this definitely as kind of a situation with like a Melvin Gordon III and Javonte Williams, where eventually the young guy starts taking over and over and over for the more senior player. Now, Melvin Gordon III, I would argue, is infinitely better than who Rashad Penny is, and so I expect that transition to happen earlier in the season, right around a week 6, a week 7. Remember, we are in a 17-week NFL season now, and so there is going to be a time where Penny is going to get hurt. It is going to happen, and then Walker is going to take over, and depending on how his performance goes, he may wind up keeping that first roster spot in the depth chart. So something to keep in mind. Again, breaking news is that Chris Carson has retired, and what that means for you is that Kenneth Walker III is now a legitimate mid-round option. I wouldn't reach any further past that, and as far as Rashad Penny goes, that's a waiver wire selection. I wouldn't draft him. I wouldn't auction for him unless he's exceptionally low. So this has been the Fantasy Factory breaking news. Thank you very much, fans and friends, for stopping by. Thank you for following DSN, and follow us for all sorts of breaking news. And on Fridays, we run our full regular show of the Fantasy Factory, and we hope to see you there.